The Handmade Rifle is a Nuka World DLC weapon that sports the Kalashnikov design. It is characterized by its high damage output and is one of the top tier ballistic weapons. While the 7.62 ammunition it fires can be hard to come by and expensive, it's well worth the trouble of obtaining as much as possible. It is worth mentioning that if you're playing on survival, this ammo will weigh you down considerably. Making the rifle as light as possible is a good way to allow you to carry more ammunition. Like lesser weapons such as the combat rifle, it sports many attachments and is highly modular. You can set this weapon up to be a devastating automatic bullet hose or a high precision sniper rifle type weapon. Just make sure you're invested in gun nut, rifleman and commander, and even big leagues to equip this weapon with all attachments. In addition to these attachment combinations, you can also paint the rifle according to the Nuka World Raider Gang's colours. The operators have the nicest colour scheme, with the rifle looking in pristine condition. The disciples paint their rifles in black, and the pack paint their rifles in the most horrible colour scheme you can imagine. If the damage doesn't quite cut it for you, you'll do more damage by making your enemy's eyes bleed at the sight of your pack handmade rifle. Put that furry shit away. So we know that the handmade rifle is indeed a powerful weapon, but what legendary effects best suit this rifle? Let's count down the top 5 best legendary effects that you can obtain on your handmade rifle. But just before that, I'm going to be rating these on my own personal opinion on which is the most effective legendaries. If you have a different personal preference or just think I'm wrong, go ahead and explain your thoughts in the comments. Or you could just tell me to kill myself because X is better without any explanation. Up to you. Righto, top 5 handmade rifles, starting now. Number 5, the Deadeye Handmade Rifle. Okay, right off the bat here, I think this one will be more controversial, but hear me out lads and lasses. The Deadeye effect gives you 5 seconds of time slowdown whenever you aim down sights, which is extremely useful in just about any combat situation. It makes aiming and shooting extremely easily, which not only helps you to conserve ammo, but also do a lot more damage by easier targeting of the weak areas, like the head. Against human targets in particular, where the flinching and staggering can really throw off your aim in real time, it is completely negated by having a legendary slowdown time that the Deadeye offers. The Deadeye effect allows you to fight much more effectively by virtue of slow time, but it offers no addition to damage outputs whatsoever, so this is why it's in 5th place. Number 4, the Wounding Handmade Rifle. The Wounding Handmade Rifle is its most effective when modified to an automatic platform. The wounding effect itself gives an additional 25 points of damage per hit, which is infinitely stackable. This means with a high rate of fire handmade rifle you can stack hundreds of points of bonus damage within a matter of seconds. For those of you who like the numbers, with a mag size of 75, hitting every shot will give you 1875 bonus damage, which not many will stand up to that, would you believe. One possible drawback of this weapon is that it's got a pretty slow damage over time, and sometimes it is actually faster to shoot them dead rather than let lingering damage over time kill them. But a patient killer will enjoy the Wounding Handmade Rifle nonetheless. Another drawback is that for this effect to be most effective, it requires you to throw a lot of lead down range, which can be troublesome if you're playing on survival or don't have a lot of ammo in the first place. While you can use semi-auto with wounding, you're better off playing to its strengths. But the next one can work well for both semi-auto and auto alike. Number 3, the 2-shot handmade rifle. Coming in at 3rd place is the double lead spitting beast, the 2-shot handmade rifle. Explaining how 2-shot works, the additional projectile that it fires would be the same as a standard receiver, adding the damage from the standard shot to the base damage, and then it divides the damage evenly into 2 projectiles. For example, if the standard receiver does 10 damage, and I've got an advanced handmade rifle receiver that does 30 damage, the 2-shot effect would add the 10 from the standard and the 30 that's on my receiver, and the projectiles would do 20 damage each. Although it doesn't quite double the damage like you think it would, it still does a great amount of damage with that extra projectile. The only drawback for this legendary effect is that it comes at the cost of increased recoil. While it can be reeled in with either recoil reducing attachments or good recoil control on the player's part, whether pulling down on the stick or mouse when firing, or firing in short bursts, the recoil is very manageable when compared to that of a combat shotgun. But keep in mind, bursting this weapon will cut down on the DPS. The next weapon will put a smile on Torg's face, so let's get to it. Number 2, the explosive handmade rifle. You can fill in the air guitar sounds here as we get to the explosive handmade rifle. Like the wounding handmade rifle, this bad boy is at its full potential when used in full auto. The impact of the projectiles explode, which can deal up to 32.25 damage. But be advised, to get the most out of this effect, you're going to need to put some perks in the Demolition Expert, and the explosive bobblehead will help too. With all the necessary damage perks plus bobblehead, the explosive handmade rifle has a considerably big splash damage radius too, which can allow you to kill behind corners and kill stealth boy targets more effectively. One drawback of this effect is that it might cause friendly fire issues when used during settlement raids or when fighting with companions. If this is an issue for you, have another weapon on the ready so there's no risk of friendly fire. Number 1. Splatter Cannon. So, big friggin' surprise, the number 1 place goes to Splatter Cannon, one of the 2 unique handmade rifles in the Nuka World DLC. What is especially unique about the Splatter Cannon, and Problem Solver, is that its legendary effect is under normal circumstances, exclusive to melee weapons only. The effect itself allows you to stack 15% additional damage every consecutive hit, which from the base damage of the handmade rifle is going to be very effective, especially when used with an automatic receiver. Pair that with a high capacity magazine and you can waste just about anything the Wasteland can throw at you. Now the Splatter Cannon is a little pricey, so if you want to get a similar weapon, you can intimidate the leader of the pack when you first meet him and he'll give you the Problem Solver, which is basically the same thing. Just wash that disgusting paint off as soon as you can, eh? So there you have it, the top 5 legendary handmade rifles. If you'd like to get these weapons for yourself, you can purchase Splatter Cannon or pass a speech check for the Problem Solver. For the rest of them, you're going to either have to wait for a random drop, or you could farm them at Gunner's Plaza, where I recommend any top tier farming. If none of that tickles your fancy, there are mods out there which allow you to put legendary effects on weapons such as UCO, or Peter Hicks Upgrade to Crafting mod. I recommend using mods as to not waste time on just RNG crap. Again, if you have a particularly different take on what the best handmade rifles are, don't hesitate to leave your thoughts. Thanks for watching and I'll see you later.